How are you doing? This is Alex, and on this week's episode, we're going to be speaking about crazy phone calls that we've received in this office. And you may think it's a little bit different, and it may seem a little, how often can that happen? But you would be surprised. It happens much more than you think, and it is absolutely bonkers on some of these calls that we get in the office. What kind of calls are you talking about? We have different valets that call. We have customers that call. We have different requests that we receive, but just overall, they're insane. You wouldn't believe them if you didn't hear them ourselves, but some of them we've recorded, some of them we've not for privacy issues, but they're just basically voicemails that are going on. And let me tell you, the last one is sad, but also insane at the same time. Now, the first one is insane. This is the one, and you would think it's an isolated incident, but it's not. It happens more often than you think. In fact, it happens maybe about once a month. And that is when someone calls into our office trying to track down the ticket, meaning the valet parking stub, that they found in their spouse's car. And they're trying to figure out if it belongs to a hotel. So basically, they're asking us, do you guys valet park at hotels? What hotels do you valet park? We need to know, because my husband came home or my wife came home last night and they had this valet parking ticket in their dash and they're trying to figure out where they were. Now, on our side, unfortunately, we can't tell if you give us the sequence of numbers that's on the front of the ticket where that ticket has been, unless it's a week or two later when we get the tickets back into the office so we can do our accounting. But that we can't tell the next morning, because chances are we only get them once a week. And it's always for the week from the week past. So anyway, they received a ticket, they see the ticket in the dash, and they want to know what hotel do we service, because they're trying to track down where their husband was or their wife. We tell them, hey, we do mainly restaurants, we do private events and things. Well, what restaurants? Hey, we can't tell you. I mean, not that we can't tell you that, but we can't isolate what ticket number this is, and they get upset and frustrated, and you think it's an isolated thing. And I actually feel bad for people when they do that, because unfortunately, if they're calling in trying to track down their spouse, chances are their relationship's in trouble already, and this is just a catalyst to whatever situation they're looking for next. Let's say it is XYZ. We'll use Cheesecake Factory. I like using them as a reference. It is Cheesecake Factory. What is that going to tell them? That they were supposed to be home and they were somewhere else, or they said they were working late in the office and they come home with a valet parking ticket? I don't know, but good luck to those people. But it happens guaranteed at least once a month we get those phone calls. Now, this next one's a little bit different, and it's going to come across as very negatively. And that is a request that we get sometimes where some people will say, we do not want black valets at this event. So, of course, I get that transfer, and Raina will transfer it to me because, of course, I want to deal with this. And I want to figure out what in the world these people are talking about. So they said, hey, we're having a private event. It's a big, massive event, and we don't want any black valets. And I think, okay, that's pretty racist, but I don't say anything. Continue, please. And it turns out that it is a major event, and it's an event in a sense of, let's say, I think in the 90s, there was an artist called Babyface, and he was the top producer. He was an artist, he was a singer, and all these different things. And one of his artists were TLC, the other one was Whitney Houston, just every Usher. It was massive, massive. So it was a celebration party at their compound, and they said they didn't want black valets, not for a negative reason, but more so they wanted the valets to do their job right. And they didn't want them in awe of every artist that gets out of the car. So they wanted white valets or other valets that wouldn't know who they were. But in actuality, even the white valets that we brought out, and yes, we did do the event, and yes, I ended up working that party, but the people that recognize them are the white valets. Some of the black valets, of course, they know who Babyface is and TLC and Usher and all these people. But the white valets know them just as much, or the Asian valets know them just as much, or the Indian valets know them just as much. What they really wanted, I guess, were foreigners that didn't recognize these artists. But I understand what their intent was, but the way the delivery was extremely negative. So I have to explain in our office, we can't do that. That's something that we can't do. We're going to send out the best of the best valets. Our valets are professional either way. We're not going to sit there and start geeking out if we see Usher walk across the street or pull up in a car. It happens all the time where we've opened up car doors and it's Tyler Perry or it's Shaq or something like that. So we understand that. And it was a pretty crazy event. We had fun, and there were all the artists there. We saw everybody from, and these are events or people that were famous in the 90s, and mind you, this event did happen probably about almost 20 years ago, but it's still crazy to receive that kind of phone call in the office to say, hey, we don't want black valets. And I know this is crazy, but I'm going to have another episode where that call came in again, and I'll explain who that artist was and the reason why. Now, this next phone call, I actually didn't answer. It actually went to voicemail, but it happens a lot. Remember, I told you guys a long time ago, if we see items in a car, we'll move them because we don't want any items to get stolen. So a lot of times we'll move it to the trunk, or we'll ask the customer if we see them, hey, do you want to move your item to the trunk? Do you want to move your purse to the trunk? Do you want to move your briefcase to the trunk? But if a valet gets in a car and they see that, they'll slide if it's a present or a box or something, under the seat. And this is a phone call where, in fact, we did move the present. And we usually write on a ticket when we give it back to them that, hey, we've moved your item. We all do it for security. We are in Atlanta. We don't want a car to get broken into. We're trying to do things as much as possible to prevent crimes from happening. Not that we're in a horrible place, but it doesn't matter if we're way up in Alpharetta, which is our ritzy area, or we're down in downtown Atlanta. We're going to do the same thing. And I try, whenever I see my personal friends, don't leave these things in your car. Don't leave your laptop sitting on your seat. Someone's going to break in and steal your laptop. So please do move your stuff as much as possible, and we try to do the same. Well, anyway, we got a phone call, and this lady was pissed because her item got moved. We told her it got moved, but she wasn't listening to us. And then later on, she called us back to apologize that she did find the item. This next story is insane. I'm going to call this story Cry Wolf, because we had a valet that constantly cried wolf. Not this much stuff cannot happen to a valet, and this valet would always call, oh, something got broken into. Oh, I got a flat tire. Oh, my car broke down. Oh, something happened. And it was always his mom got in a car accident and he had to leave and go to New Jersey. And it was driving us crazy. This much negative stuff cannot happen to a valet over and over again. So we get this one call. He didn't show up to his morning shift. It was a 10 o'clock shift. And I was pissed. We got that shift replaced. And at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a phone call from this valet that said, last night at 4 o'clock in the morning, he got robbed. They stole his car. They stole his wallet. They stole his cell phone. And they stole his dog. His dog was in the car. So he thinks his dog was murdered, and that's the reason why he didn't show up to work. He didn't call me because he didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have any money or a wallet so he can get to work. This is before Uber, actually. And I didn't believe him. So I'm like, you know what? Screw you. I know that's bad to say, but I'm tired of these excuses. Well, it turns out it was actually true this time. And I really didn't care. But I was tired of these phone calls from this valet. This much negative stuff cannot happen to somebody. And if it is, then honestly, do you want us working with their company? Because this kind of stuff can affect us now, affect the cars, all these different things. But this valet had the worst situation with everything that was going on, and it was always something negative.